Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I'm walking down the street as I always do. This time I got new shoes on. Very happy. Something simple. Hoping to get. Didn't have to trek all the way to Compton for it. Cost a little less than I was expecting. All of that's very good. So they came in yesterday and they're comfortable. Very, very comfortable actually. I would dare say they're more comfortable than the ones I was walking in, believe it or not. They just feel like a better version of my size than the others naturally were. And they're lighter. They feel lighter, like lighter material than the others were. I had these for a very long time, these same shoes I wore. I threw them away last year, but I swear I had them for about 7-8 years. Till they had holes in them and all kind of stuff. So I knew what type of shoe I actually wanted and what I could walk around in and feel comfortable in. So yeah, these are walking shoes. Since even though I like them looking great, I'm likely gonna wear them down rather quickly because I'm gonna wear these a lot. So it is what it is. They go with every fit, I imagine. So slip-ins, my type of shoe for now. But yeah, man, I feel all right. I just want to make something of my day, as I often do. On this side of town, I don't really want to stay in the hotel room. This room is a bit different for me because you're right next to the lounge area where the people work at. What is this on my collar? I didn't even realize I was there. That's not cute. I didn't even realize I was there, man. I'm not turning around. I don't really like that, to be honest with you. I'd like my shirt to look a lot better than this, but I am not turning around. But anyway, it's one of those situations where the room isn't quite as comfortable for me because at the end of the day, it's a lot of it, ain't it? Look at, man, something must have happened in the laundry. But I don't think it's bleach. But whatever, if it were bleach, it would be about pink. It would be pink. But either way, man, it's one of those situations where it's kind of hard to relax there because I like to have ventilation, as you guys know, and keep my fan next to the window with the window open. The window is right next to where they sit. So, you know, and sometimes people are smoking cigarettes out there and stuff like that. That's an everyday occurrence for those guys. So this morning they had people working outside of that window. It's just not a very comfortable room for me, man. That room is not overly comfortable. But, and the shower isn't quite as nice because it doesn't get all the way hot, to be honest with you. It's like a warmish hot, not quite hot. That's about as hot as it gets. So, and the water comes down a little less, so it's not what the other room is, but you get what you pay for. It's a non-air conditioned room, so they don't put as much into it from top to bottom. But the bed was comfortable. That's the most important thing for me out of everything. The bed must be comfortable, and for the last 3 rooms I've had here, the beds have been comfortable. I think they've been swapping out beds these past month or so. So yeah, I've seen them moving a lot of beds out of there, so I'm pretty sure that's what they've been doing on a mission of just revamping beds entirely. And so I think that's really to the benefit of the place, because them first 2 beds I had, whew, horrible to sleep on. But yeah, man, happy I got my new shoes. Unhappy about this shirt. Very unhappy about this shirt collar. But we just gotta live with it for now, because I'm not turning around. I ain't got nothing else to throw on. So yeah, that looks terrible. I ain't even going front. That looks terrible. But maybe it can wipe off. I don't know if it's permanent, if it's a discoloration or what, but I'm paying attention to it. Probably a little too much for what I'm doing. At any rate, I don't know where I'm going. I never do. You guys know that. I do have some things to do with my GR now that I have my GR. I got some things I need to look up as far as places to go and see if I can get myself some housing, see if I can get into some programs. I wish I remember what links I found that first week when I was telling y'all about that. I might have to go check back into my videos, see if I mentioned the name of those links. But they have programs that I can get into at this point. So that is exactly what I'm interested in doing. See what may be available in terms of permanent places. If they have a mental health place that's low income. I'm pretty certain I found some stuff like that during that process. So, you know, that's what it is, man. Just wanting to do that stuff and not having any help. as it pertains to looking for that stuff. I need an assistant in my life because the way my head is worked sets up. I don't like really looking up nothing these days or any day really. But it needs to be done, man. I want to be stronger in that regard. And so I welcome the Lord into my life to help me with that as I ask him to do with other things as well. And so that's really what it is, man. This whole situation has taught me a lot about how to stay on track, how to get back on track when you fall off track, how not to play with God, as I've told you guys many times. Don't play with him. Keep your soul on straight, keep your head on straight, aligned with the Lord. And that's really what it is, man. Just trying to stay on point as it pertains to all the different things that I've worked on as far as staying out every day, working on my body, trying to eat right. This Thanksgiving threw me off a little bit as far as eating right, but nothing too serious that I can't get back on track. And, just trying my very best, man, to manage myself. Hey, buddy. Not thinking too much about what could go wrong, and that's really what it is, man. I've been thinking about some things. Obviously, these last couple of weeks I have been sitting in sadness about Kay not being in my life, however I was perceiving that. And this week I kind of have a bit more control over that. I feel like, whether she's reaching out or not, it feels a bit more natural to be without her, I guess, in that way, as I see it. So just trying to go forward in that space. And, it's all right. I mean, it's not that much of a difference. I just got to perceive it as different. I think that's what it is when you're longing and wanting for someone to be somewhere in your life at a certain distance versus when you've accepted that they're not and you just move on. That's just what it is. That's where we're at the beginning of that part. And continuing to pray for her. As I said in the last video, you don't pray less for people that's out of your life. You pray more for them if they're in your heart. So I said prayer for her this morning, as I always do. And if she wants to reach out to me, I'll happily answer the phone. But as far as me reaching out, I haven't had the Lord tell me to do that. I haven't felt like that was the right thing for me to do. It just gets to a point where, as I've said many times, you don't think that a person is really going to answer it anyway, so you don't reach out. That's the environment created. She ain't really want to, respond to certain things that I sent when I was really intent on it sending. So you just get to a point where you realize it's probably safer for you not to, so that you don't feel that disappointment anymore. And so that's where I'm at with that. Just don't want to be in a space where I'm ignored like that. And I miss mindset. Now I'm trying to fix my life. So, that's really what it is, man. Got to defeat that for which makes you worse. Whatever it may be, whether it be situations or, inner demons or circumstances, whatever is making you worse, do put forth God first and defeat it with your intentions on doing so. For me, it was just a certain way of looking at someone else and wanting more from them than they were willing to give to me, and then being unhappy with that and letting it spiral me. That made me worse, man. It made me worse, and it took my eye off the ball as it pertains to certain things that needed to be focused on in my life. It took me completely out of my element as it pertains to being comfortable being alone. And that was not something that she did. That was just something my mind ultimately did when she made certain decisions on her own, which she had every right to do. Decisions that she needed to make for herself so that she could be at peace with her circumstance. It kind of took the peace away from me. But, in this era of my life, as I'm going forward, I'm just asking the Lord to replenish what has been deteriorated by that behavior that I was engaging in, not her as my own, and reaching out to her and not being pleased with how I go. I asked the Lord to help me through that, for which has now kind of been set in stone there's a certain level of discomfort reaching out to her, and maybe even anyone else for that matter. You know, just feeling like, nah, I don't want to reach out no more. You know, it's like when you already deal with enough of that in yourself, but you were going to open up to one person, you got to fight that natural ability to say, nah, this is what you're going to get out of everybody, or this is what you're going to get if you reach out to that person on a different day. And so that's what it is. It's just fighting that for which is not strong within myself, man. Try to keep from drowning. As she put it, she said she felt I was drowning in the circumstances. When we were having a negative conversation she perceived was negative, she felt like it was obvious to her I was drowning. And I don't disagree. But, you know, just the same, I'm finding that was shallow water. That was shallow water. All I had to do was stand up. And so that's what I've learned. It's time to stand up and not allow myself to drown any further. Not allow myself to feel like drowning is something that I should be okay with in any way, if that's what that was. So, you know, man, I honestly just feel good, man. I feel good to have a little more control over that. As these last couple of weeks sucked bad for me mentally, not necessarily with being depressed, but trying to overcome it so damn much. Trying my best to just apply faith, apply God, you know, discipline myself away from it, from reaching out the way that I was. You know, I had to apologize to her, or felt I did, for not giving her the space that ultimately I felt like she was demanding I give her in that regard, in terms of reaching out and all of that on her ID. And it just got to a point where it was like, I don't need to do that, man. I don't need to do that anymore. That's where I'm at. It's like I've healed up something when it comes to that. I gotta keep doing that. That's not required of me to feel better this week. It's not required of me to be at peace in my own head. So that's what I'm most thankful for. I'm glad God has got me to a space where whatever the heck I'm doing, I'm not sitting up here trying to ask somebody who doesn't want to be close to me to be close to me for any reason. It's a strength about that you take back when you have a problem like I had, and stop letting that be your problem. You stop letting the enemy use that as a means of reaching you. So that's really where I'm at with that. And so that's a nice car. That old school, huh? It's kind of cold. Like that. I always did like those type of vehicles, 40s style from the 1930s, 1940s. Always had a connection to that vibe and that culture. Not that I ever had any thing that represented that in my life, but I just always felt like my last life I was probably alive during those times, driving around in those type of cars, dressing in zoot suits and stuff like that. That's probably what I did in my last life. It's always had a connection to that era. But yeah, man, it just feels good. I'm stomping around in new shoes and I feel like a new person. I just want the Holy Spirit to come through and give me my confidence to where He wants it to be, in regards to looking for places and finding something that's new for me and getting up out of the circumstance I'm in. Finally, if He wants me to work, I'm open to that. If He wants me to do whatever, I'm ready to do it, because the way things have been going ain't been good enough for me as of late. I ain't been happy, and I know that is on me to welcome happiness into my life and continue to discipline myself away from what allows the enemy to attack me. And so that's really what it is, man. Discipline going forward. The enemy can't use the same stuff to attack your boy. He can't. He got to try something else. And that's what it really comes down to. When you wage war against the enemy, and you got to prepare for him to attack you in ways that are going to make you vulnerable. He watches you all day long, all night long. He wants to reach you just like God does. And when you let Him, He will come through and step on everything you got going on. Any presence of strength or anything that you have that makes you whole, He gonna try to attack those places and those weaknesses that may be chinks in those armors, that's where he's gonna try to make you feel like you can undo all of your progress that you've made in trying to get closer to God. But God will continue to help you understand that the devil is a liar and that he doesn't have that strength unless you hand it to him, and he can't stay in those spaces unless you allow him to. So that's really what it is. I rebuke him. I want him out of my life. I don't want any remnants of what makes me worse or pulls me away from God anywhere near me. And I want every bridge that the enemy has been able to be, able to cross over to get to me. I want those bridges out of my life. I want my energy to be good and restored from where it's been, which has been a tough go around for me, man. I just want my aura back. But it's one of those situations where honestly I just feel like he was trying to derail me from speaking on the stuff that's going on in Gaza, man. I really felt that way. I still feel that way. I ain't been right since I started talking about that on this channel. And it had nothing to do with nobody outside doing anything. It's just been me and how I perceive certain things and just the weakness of my own mindset. Kind of having buttons pressed or what have you, frustrating. Ever since I started talking about that on this channel in a way that it's unapologetic and certain. And at the end of the day, 8,000 kids, that's where we at with it. 8,000 children. They said they were gonna have like a little ceasefire for like 5 days. It never stopped. I can assure you that the people that I follow have been showing me all that they've been doing during this ceasefire. And it's been a lot of violence, a lot of shooting, a lot of bombings going on during the ceasefire. That's what I want people to understand. That the enemy is working overtime to gaslight the people with this particular circumstance. He is laughing at all of us as it pertains to this particular thing because he knows that we're in a space, especially in this country, where a lot of people around us are going to believe what they're told. You have a ceasefire that ain't actually a ceasefire during Black Friday, the #1 spending event in this country. Thanksgiving, one of the #1 spending events in this country. I just feel like that was like him thumbing his nose at us. He didn't even have the decency to not kill during that time. And I'm not even talking about Israel anymore. Israel is the enemy. It's one of the enemy's greatest tools in this world right now. That's all that is. If you want to know the truth of how I see it, that's all him. It's all the devil. They just happen to be who he's got wearing his marking right now, doing his bidding in the biggest and loudest way that we can see right now. That's all it is. It's just him. And I tell you, just like any other thing that he does, he's a liar. And he reflects poorly upon himself, as I always tell you guys. That's all he wants to do, is reflect absolutely horribly upon himself. And what we need to do is keep holding on. Keep holding on. Do not allow for him to continue to believe that he's winning these battles just because he's loud and unapologetic about his actions. He ain't winning no battles against the Lord. None. Everything he's taken from God, God is going to take back from him. There's nothing he can do to stop his fate. And that's what I'm here to tell all of y'all. Keep the faith. Know that for a fact. And don't let anything sidetrack you. Don't let anything sidetrack you from the space that you're in, where you're trying to get closer to God. Even if you made some mistakes, even if you're in a space where you ain't quite got it right, maybe you in the thick of the worst of your experience, that does not mean that the calendar won't fold toward tomorrow and show you something better. Your calendar will fold forward toward tomorrow, and you will see something better. And that's what the enemy don't want you to believe. He don't want you to live to see that day. You've seen me in my walk many times go through that. Many times. And that's what he's trying to do to these people of Gaza. He's trying to demoralize them, belittle them, by way of how he's treating them relentlessly, make us look at them as if their genocide is normal, try to deteriorate our hope in regards to fighting against him in regards to this. It's a lot of stuff that he's trying to do by making us see this. Make us get used to seeing dead children that happen to look like them. That stuff ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. We will never lose sight of our humanity. We will never let him win these battles. And we understand exactly what he's trying to do there. They're trying to torture those folks and bring them to a space where not only are they being worn down, but so are us. So are we supposed to be worn down by how little hope it seems they have and how much ridiculous psychological torture and pressure has been placed upon these people on top of their genocide. Psychological torture. You know, when they're freeing these hostages, they're telling them they better not celebrate. You know, with kids who have been released from circumstances or they've been in bondage, they telling them that they banned candy for kids. Like, that's psychological domination is what they're trying to apply to these people. And it ain't just to break them. It's to wear us down, who are watching it as well, who are rooting for them to succeed. It's to show all of us that this is how much of a hold that they have on these people, but it's all psychological because it's a weakness within them that will make it so that they need to do that. Never forget that. It's weakness within others that make them feel like they need to do that to have control over others, or that they would even need control over others in order to coincide in life with them. It's like they can't be happy unless those others are certainly not. And that's not something that's garnered by anything other than the fact that they overlook them. Palestinian people and Muslim people overlook them and believe in a God that's greater than them, and they can't stand it. They can't stand it and they fear it. Because most of us in the Western world don't. As you can clearly see, as we're watching them do these things and don't say nothing. They can't stand the fact that they can't shake those people's fears. Shake those people's faith, rather, with bull crap that's applied that's supposed to bring forth fear, is what I'm trying to say to you. They can't break their faith. They can't control them. They can't kill enough of them to annihilate them. They can't apply enough psychological, creative, deafening nonsense to make them not believe in God or to make them adhere to them. They can't do it. They don't have enough in their back pocket nor in their creative mindset to destroy the faith of those people. They can't do it. And they're trying. Everything they have, they're trying. And as I tell you that they can't, you will continue to watch them try. And you're going to continue to see the people of faith continue to believe. And that's what it is that we have to understand, is with the example that's being shown to us about what to do and what not to do. What not to do, display the weakness of those who are trying to break those people. What to do, when you run into people who are trying to break you, you keep your faith. And you don't let your own sin nature or what would may fear, be fear in your heart, may scare you, whatever may be in place, what may feel good but ain't no good for you, and let any of that override your understanding that this is spiritual warfare and that the enemy wants to take everything from God, including your soul, including your happiness, including your ability to smile. Just like Israel's trying to do to the people of Gaza, that's exactly what the enemy wants to do to you. He wants to dominate your mind, take away every little bit of goodness in your life, want to come up with new ways, creative ways to try to break you, kill as many of y'all as possible. He wants to do all of those things. They are just a reflection of their maker. Or rather, their dominator, because at the end of the day, God made them, but they've walked away from him. They don't know him. They're walking toward the enemy, and they saying that they're doing it in the name of God, but we know who they serve. You can see it in their behavior. You can see it in their fear. You can see it in how insecure they behave, who they serve, and what they are really about. And so that's why I'm here to tell all of y'all, man. The enemy hasn't defeated me in these circumstances, using every bit of my heart and what matters to me to try to break me. use every bit of temptation that he could possibly throw in my face to try to break me. I'm watching those who are going through incredible darkness, incredible applications of trying to get them having themselves tested, applying their faith in God, applying their faith in themselves and their strength and the strength of their community. I'm watching them overcome what's coming at them, no matter what it is, no matter how bad it is. And I'm telling all of you, you can do the same thing. You can do the exact same thing. You just got to put God first and not let the enemy's lies coerce you into spaces where you actually believe that he's winning this war. He is not. He's going to speak a language that you understand. He's going to try to coerce himself into spaces that you want to enjoy yourself the most. He's going to do everything he can to get you away from God. But you just got to understand, as long as you stay close to God, you're on the winning side. As long as you stay close to God, the patience you need, the strength you need, the hope that you need, the community that you need, all of that will be in place to overcome what it is that otherwise comes against your faith. You just got to believe in him who has already proven himself many, many, many times and will prove himself again. So I'm here to tell you, he will prove himself again. God is not an egotistical God in the sense that if you need him to prove himself to you once again to keep your faith, he will do that. Just keep watching. You don't have nothing to lose by saying, yo, this is who I am once again, in case you forgot. The enemy don't want to explain himself. The enemy don't want to have to tell you why he did certain things. God's not insecure in that way. He has no problem in letting you know what he's thinking. Just got to be willing to listen. And that's the thing. That's the thing about it. You got to be willing to listen. That's what God has been telling me. Close my mouth more so and listen more so. And that's what I'm trying to do. It's in my natural inclination to do a lot of speaking, and of course I speak to you. But when it comes to God, it's time to listen and it's time to be strong. And that's what he keeps on telling me. That's what keeps on coming to mind as I pray. His strength, listening, and paying attention, paying very close attention. And learning these lessons, man, as the enemy continues to try to attack. Learn these lessons. Because at the end of the day, he's always going to try to use what is culture around you, what people are agreeing upon around you. He has so many people agreeing to bullcrap that you'll feel like you're crazy for not following what they're doing. But the only thing that's crazy is following what they're doing, I promise you. In a lot of cases, it ain't nothing but the enemy doing everything he can, using everybody he has a hold of, and it's a lot of them, to do his bidding. That's what gets lost in all this. How many people the enemy actually has a hold of right now. Heck yeah, it's easy to fall in line with wrongdoing. There's a lot of people enriched in the culture of not believing in God and not following God if they did believe in him, who are broken in such a way because of applications that the enemy is put in their life that makes them feel that way. There's a lot of people who need to hear what we're saying right now to change their ways, who need to believe in something greater than themselves to change their ways. If they all come together, you best believe they're going to agree to something. And as they agree, they're going to be wrong. Collectively. And they're all going to be in the same place in the end if they don't get it right. But they can get right, just like you can get right. Don't let them agreeing upon the wrong thing coerce you into the wrong fate. It's a lot of ways to be wrong. It's a lot of ways to be broken and feel like there's no hope. There's plenty of stuff out here that can coerce you into being guilty, so now you don't want to hold your others accountable or what have you, or yourself accountable. Just feel like there's no reason, no use since you're already damned. There's a lot of that that's going to be in place. Ain't nothing make the enemy happier than to make you feel like you ain't got no redemption in your life. Make it feel like it ain't no use in doing good even though you have it in your heart to maybe try. Ain't nothing make him happier than to see your faith in yourself die. So he gonna throw everything at you to make that happen. To make you think that you can undo a year of work in 5 minutes. When that is not exactly how that works when you're close to God. He ain't gonna let that happen. The enemy may convince you that that is what is happening, but that's not how this actually works. Only if you allow it to be the case will that be confirmed. So that's what I'm telling people, man. Don't worry about taking steps back or falling off the wagon or having moments of weakness or not knowing what's going to get you back on track. You already back on track. If you intend to be back on track, you talk to God, you tell him you want to be back on track. And you welcome him to understanding that you are willing to do what he wants you to do, so long as he helps you be accustomed for what that is. And I'm asking the Lord to help me be accustomed for what it is he wants me to do, so that I'm not just willing to do what he wants me to do, but effective in getting it done without complaint, without the enemy's attacks having any say-so over what it is that I'm doing when doing for the Lord. I want that strength. I've deserved that strength. I think you deserve it too. Regardless of who you are or what it is that you've done or didn't do. Once you realize that it's the day to gain the strength necessary to overcome the enemies, that's the day you deserve to be in a position from which the enemy can't touch you anymore. And don't let the world tell you otherwise, because the world doesn't know you as well as God does. The world doesn't know you as well as the Holy Spirit is intentional on knowing you once you get to know him better. You let him in, and he'll take over from there. So that's what I'm here to tell y'all, man. Believe in your redemption. Believe in the change of your heart. Believe in the goodness in your understanding, if not for within yourself, then within the example that may be available to you if you look around. Goodness will be rewarded with goodness, just like evil will be rewarded with evil. It is what it is. What goes around comes around, and you do more good will come around, man. And that's exactly what's going to coerce you into understanding that's what you deserve. When you see the fruits of what goodness can actually be in your life, if you've never seen it before, get curious about what goodness means for your life when you do enough of it. Get curious about what the Lord can do for you when you start praising him differently. When you start trying to sacrifice things that need to be sacrificed in your life in order to let him in. Get curious about what that looks like for your life, because I promise you it becomes a certain closeness that you get to God that will be right there for you when you need him to the most. That's where the benefit comes in. On your darkest day, you don't crumble because you decided on a day that wasn't as dark that you were going to come close to the light. You best believe the enemy's going to continue to try to coerce you into them dark days, and he's going to try to make those dark days even darker. The more they keep coming, the further you get from God. That's why you see so many people around us that are broken in life. It's because of that type of thing. But just like anybody else, the Lord can overrun that for which is darkest in your heart. And it don't have to take forever. Just like we said, what's been done with God over a year's work can't be undone in a moment. Not when it comes to the Lord. What's been done in evil over the course of your entire life can be undone in a simple moment if you turn away from those things, turn toward God from here on out. He can not only forgive you for everything you've done wrong, but he can undo a lot of damage done by you. He can undo a lot of damage in your own heart and in your own life. Help you start to get better at what it is that you now have to live without, if that's what's coming your way. Sacrifice and what have you. You can make it a lot easier to live really soon within the circumstance of your journey. You don't have to wait a year just because you did a year's worth of damage. Now, when it comes to God, when you come to God, you can see him work fast. You just got to get through those moments. And so that's what I'm here to say, man. I'm very thankful that God has given me strength to walk down this street. I'm happy that even though I feel a little off balance today, that I'm not far away from the Lord in any way, that I can still do the things that I do and feel as good as I do when doing them. Because that's really what it's about, walking down the street, telling y'all the truth about the Holy Spirit and how I know him to be a forgiving God, honest God. And, I look to follow him. I've had a lot of things go what I consider to be wrong in my life. some of which are my fault, others are not. But at the end of the day, I'm following the light of the Lord, man. However that looks in my life, man. It may not look the same way in my life as it look in yours. But I'm following that intention from within myself to say I want to be on good side of things, not the enemy side of the things. I want to be next to God when it's time for my life to end, not coerced into sin that brings forth the worst of consequences for myself and other men. I want the Lord to know that my intentions, even if I don't get what I need in a moment, my intentions are to be patient until He gives me what it is He wants me to receive. And even if I found myself attached to something that's no good for me, I know that He can help me detach from that attachment rather quickly. That's what I'm here to say to you. Those attachments that are no good for you can be detached from rather quickly. You just gotta let God in and let Him take you on that journey. And for a lot of people that's going closer to the church, a lot of people that's, stepping away from certain evils and sacrificing certain things that may feel good that are no good for you, it looks different in different people's lives, man. But you will know what you need to do soon enough. If you take that first step, you will see what the Lord actually wants to do with you. But if you want to do what the enemy wants you to do, he's going to always make it look shiny. He's going to always have some type of euphoric feeling attached to that desire or whatever it is. And all that means is it's just going to bring you back toward it more and more to waste more of your time. Get you away from God, get you away from what matters, keep you off timing for which good things can happen, get you off that path for which your best days are coming. That's all that euphoric feeling is supposed to do. That's all that relief from your stress is supposed to do. That ain't really relief, but really sin. That you feel may be protecting you. All of that is false. It ain't what it seems. It's attached to something that's supposed to deteriorate your entire spirit. It ain't meant to do nothing but keep you from being a blessing. That's it. And that's why I want to tell everybody who's going towards stuff that ain't no good for them. The devil's a liar, man. Of course he's going to try to make it feel good. Of course he's going to try to make you feel like things are safe now that you've done this. Maybe you made some other people feel unsafe in the presence trying to make yourself safe. You didn't make yourself safe. You walked yourself right into his web. And his web got massage chairs in it. Don't forget that. It's supposed to make you want to stay there. It's supposed to make you think you got to keep coming back. It's an addiction. It ain't no good for you. That's the point. It's bad for you. That's why you need to stay away from it. Many people are going to tell you this is what's good for us. This is what we do. This is what is in our music. We sing about this. When we're in our times of pain, it's the only thing that works. Look around. The Lord allows this. The Lord allows that. It's going to be a lot of stuff that's supposed to pull you away from Him. But at the end of the day, you don't know the Lord's secrets or what it is He can undo in a matter of moments. Everything that's been taken from Him, He's going to take back. All the things that have been deteriorated and around you that maybe have made you lose your faith, what you can't see is that the Lord can restore, rebuild, make better. There's a lot of things that in the moment when you're in your moment of doubt, you ain't going to understand about what the Lord's ways and the free will of man around you that may make things unfortunate in your life or in the lives of the people around you. A lot of that stuff ain't meant to do nothing but deteriorate your intentions toward God. It ain't meant to prove that God doesn't exist. It's meant to prove you as somebody who ain't strong enough. And that's not true. It's never been true. Because God didn't make you weak. He made you capable of learning lessons. That's what He made you. He made you capable of growing stronger from within the strength that you already have. He built you to withstand the enemy's attacks, for which are coming regardless, because it's spiritual warfare. He built you strong enough to withstand the enemies within. Those inner demons that want to bring you towards sin and ultimately self-destruct your life and your body so that you end up not being a blessing to somebody else that you need to be. The Lord's intended you to be, to receive the thanks that are supposed to be coming your way for the good things that you're ultimately destined to do. He wants to pull you out of that for which is meant for you and bring you closer to what it is that ultimately makes him feel better, which is your misery. He is a liar. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching.